Hello folks and welcome to the weekend warm-up with me and him in Zandvoort. Lawrence, it's great to be here, isn't it?
It's a mega place to go racing. I had a track walk with Nick de Vries this morning and got to wander around, and the undulation, the banking is just incredible. I mean, looking forward to seeing you run around this circuit, mate.
Not going to happen. It is an amazing track. All the drivers today, as you're going to hear, full of praise for the circuit. As you said, it's undulating nature, the relentless nature of it as well, because it's high-speed corner, high-speed change of direction, after change of direction, blind crests, narrow track, and actually it all starts here down at pit exit. If we can see down there, Steve, you've got the track just on the left of the barrier there, and the pit exit actually curves all the way around through turn one, and exits on the exit of turn one straight into that banked corner.
Yeah, it's Nick de Vries was saying they've actually changed the pit exit, and it used to pop out here at the exit of turn one, so it would have been very different if they'd kept it like that.
It's going to be a massive challenge for all the drivers and all the teams this weekend. But let's start by talking about the news as it's been breaking throughout the day. Of course, news last night that Kimi Räikkönen will retire at the end of this season, which we'll come to in a moment. But the big talking point, of course, after the summer break, the will they, won't they, Mercedes, George Russell. Where are we at with the latest?
We are edging closer to knowing, but it's like they're drip feeding us, Will. Today, Lewis Hamilton was saying that George Russell would thrive if he came to Mercedes and that he is the future. So saying lots of nice words.
Did he actually say that?
Yep.
Quote, he's the future.
Yeah, he said he's the future.
Wow.
And George was saying, when I asked him in the pen what that meant to him, he was like, well, he's the greatest driver he's ever known. So for him to say that is obviously a huge thing. And George kind of looked a little bit emotional when you tell him stuff like that, because it's pretty special, isn't it?
It's hugely special. Obviously, the question mark over Valtteri Bottas's future as well. Toto Wolff back in Spa saying he had made his mind up. I asked Valtteri if that meant he'd been informed what his future will be, whether it's at Mercedes or at Williams. And as you're about to hear, he wasn't exactly forthcoming with a very direct response. Let's hear then from George. Let's hear from Valtteri on what is still an unresolved, but we think getting ever closer to a conclusion, little storyline here in the paddock.
Now, earlier today, Lewis was saying that if you're brought in as his teammate, he'd expect you to flourish, to thrive in the Mercedes environment. And he also says you're the future. So when you hear things like that, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, of course. Lewis is a driver who I have so much respect for and looked up to for in my whole career, really. So to hear those from what I regard the greatest driver of all time is pretty special. So no, appreciate it.
I've got to talk about your future. Apologies for that. We'll have to talk about it until it's announced. Toto said last weekend in Spa he has made a decision. Has he told you what that decision is, even if we're not yet ready to understand what that decision is?
Maybe not. I can't say
It's
more.
one or the other. He has or he hasn't.
The answer is maybe not. Sorry, but I can't share anything yet. But like I said in the press conference, for me personally, things are going to right direction. I'm very excited and I'm very happy.
A little slow on the rear right. The sun has come out here in Spa.
Should have brought my sunglasses.
And it's not Spa, it's Zandvoort.
We're at Zandvoort.
That's what we wanted at Spa. We're at the beach. This track is literally a stone's throw from the actual ocean. They've promised us sun throughout the weekend, perhaps a little bit of rain on Sunday, but this is what everybody wants here this weekend, a little bit of sunshine, perhaps for the wind to dry down, because it is very, very windy off the coast, isn't it?
It's very, very gusty just when you're out on track, and a lot of areas which are quite exposed. Even you've got those sand dunes protecting some parts, other parts you can feel them. If you look up right at the grandstands now, the flags are fluttering. You can see it is pretty choppy.
From one sun to another, Mick Schumacher, who never got to run that lovely tribute helmet to his dad properly in competition. I asked him about that this afternoon, and he said should get a proper run out this weekend. Because he said last weekend, I'm thinking about keeping this actually, because I love the actual sort of traditional, original version of my dad's lid. So I think we're going to see that more than just this weekend. Both Haas drivers, I spoke to them earlier today. They're not that confident for this weekend because the car's been really struggling through the change of direction, particularly through medium to high speed corners. They're going to have to whack the heaviest downforce on the car that they've got, the most downforce that they've got. But even with that, we've seen how nervous that car can be through the high speed bits. And with that change of direction, I worry about them this weekend. I really do, whether they're going to have that much of an enjoyable time out there.
Yeah, I think at least for Good timing, eh?
timing,
With
well done.
Nikita, you had the new chassis in Spa, so
Yep.
it'll be an opportunity for him to kind of get hopefully a cleaner weekend through all the way through to the end. See if that was the problem that he was struggling with. That might be another opportunity for him to learn a bit more.
Yeah, he didn't look too bad, actually, when the weekend started in that new chassis. Which brings us, though, down to Alfa Romeo, and of course the talking point of the weekend, which is that Kimi Räikkönen has announced that he will retire from the sport at the end of the year, something he said he came to terms with and decided before this season had even begun. And wouldn't you know it, after 20 years, he gave the most eloquent and flowing responses in a media pen that I've ever seen.
Obviously a lot of memories, some good, some bad, but I think even the bad ones feels much more nicer after time. So it would be not nice either to have no bad memories. It's a part of life and every day, and it makes it more interesting. I had a good run. I enjoyed. I did the things as I wished, and obviously it took him many years to fight against the pressure to be something else. But in the long run, it obviously works out much better than try to be something that you are not.
Kimi Räikkönen is world champion of 2007.
Okay, it's all over. It's all over. Hamilton 7th. By my calculations, we win the championship by 1 point.
You always told me that you wanted to get out of here by the time you were 30. In fact, you only ever wanted to do 1 year originally.
Yeah. That was a big fail of my first plans, but obviously then I was a couple of years out, and I was actually on that time, whatever happened, I was happy to go and do something else. And it's been over the years numerous times that I thought I just want to walk away and switch off my phone, but I think it's come to surprisingly far in my own books, at least. So the school things that for the kids and kindergartens that will have the schedule, but I'm looking forward to that. And it's obviously over the years the F1 has taken a lot of time, but it's never been the main thing in my life. So I'm sure I have no difficulties in a way to walk away.
The big question then, Lawrence, is who takes Kimi's seat at Alfa Romeo?
At the moment, is unclear. No one's talked officially. I think Valtteri Bottas is probably the leading contender if you speak to people inside the paddock, people in the know. The other seat is much more up for grabs. We were discussing this yesterday. Plenty in the mix.
Yes.
Antonio, when I was talking to him in the pen, that he hasn't had a chat to Fred yet. He's hoping to in the next month or two about what the future might hold for him.
That's interesting, because from what I'm hearing at the team, they've pretty much made their mind up. So if he hasn't talked to them yet, you'd sense that what you said last night on the little reaction video that we did to Kimi retiring might be true, that poor old Antonio might be out of a seat.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately it is looking increasingly likely that they might try something completely different with both seats. And I'm going to say it again on here. I think Joe is a good contender for that seat.
Not going to happen.
So who are you thinking?
Not Guan Yu Zhou.
Who are you thinking?
And I don't think Nick de Vries.
Okay.
Because you said one or the other, and I don't think either one. But
okay. Well,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Predictions. They're just I don't know, guesses until they're proved wrong or right, aren't they? Really. But yes, the question remains. But at least Antonio spoke to you after you basically killed his F1 career last night.
I didn't kill his F1 career.
Down here at AlphaTauri, Gasly and Tsunoda, both of them cannot wait to get out on the track this weekend. And of course, talking to Pierre a little bit earlier, and he said the mega thing now is that all of their major rivals around them, your Ferraris, your Aston Martins, your Alpines, everyone stopped developing. That's it. Cars locked in for the remainder of the year, and it's basically just go now for all of them.
Yeah, and I think the focus has often been splitting between this year and next year, and I think that probably can be a little bit distracting. So I think it's quite nice that they can fully focus on this year. Francois really, really, really wants P5 in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
And they've got a package that if they can get the most out of it, and if Yuki can score as consistently as Pierre has scored,
that's key.
There's every chance they can do it.
Ferrari, you spoke to both their drivers today?
Yeah, I talked to Carlos. It was his birthday yesterday, so he was in good spirits. Both he and Shah have done a lot of laps in the simulator, trying to learn this place, because a lot of people don't have a great deal of experience around this track, and it's changed beyond that because of the three banked corners. It's difficult. A lot of the drivers, when you're asking them where do they think they're going to stack up, it's difficult for them to say. A lot will be done on how productive Friday practice is, how quickly they can get into a rhythm this weekend and find the ultimate setup. But you know what, Ferrari have reacted very well this year, I think, when they've had problems. So you can only assume that here, the same will be the same.
Well, so here's the thing. A lot of people at home might say, what do you mean they've got experience here? This is the first time Formula One's raced here. How have they got experience here? Some of them have raced here in junior Formula. In Formula 3 they've raced here, but since that time, obviously, the track has changed. And of course, the machinery is completely different.
Yes, exactly. And the cars are much wider. I think really only Max has done any Formula 1 experience, I think, here. And that was in an older Red Bull when it was just a couple of demo laps. So it is going to be a very different challenge for the guys. And I think all the drivers who have driven here previously were very accepting of that.
Alpine, you spoke to Fred Alonso, how was he?
Yeah, Fernando. Sorry, you said Fred, and I was like, Fernando, Fred, yeah. I spoke to Fernando in good spirits. He had some really nice words to say about Kimi, actually, because he's one of the drivers who has probably raced him for the longest period of time. And sad to see him go, but he kind of said, well, it comes to all of us at some stage. You decide that you want to leave, but had real, his talent in his speed, Fernando was, full of praise for.
Of course, they were rookies at the same time, weren't they? Both made their debut together.
In 2001, wasn't it?
Yep. Fernando for Minardi and Kimi for Sauber. All that while ago. Esteban Ocon, though, at Alpine, massively looking forward to this weekend and the unique challenges that this circuit provides.
Yeah, it's an awesome circuit, an old school one like we all love. As drivers, we think that you can do the difference on a track like that. Position your wheel, at the right place, seeing the difference of grip. That you can spot. With the sand also coming near the track. The old school circuit they never disappoint, and that's clearly one of them. No, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to not make a single mistake. How narrow the track is. And in general, I think the Gs that that we're gonna face. We have one of the hardest compounds that we can have in Formula One, but still, the speed that we're gonna go through 7, 8, 9, on the same bit, on the neck. Usually, you hit a corner and then you have a rest. There, it's one for a long time, another one for a short time, and then you keep going right. So it's gonna be 4 or 5 Gs for 15 seconds. So that's insane, and I would not be surprised if you see any driver struggling this weekend.
So down here at Aston, Will, and I know that you spoke to both Sebastian and Lance today. What do they have to say?
Yeah, so Lance has obviously driven here before in Formula 3. Really looking forward to getting out on track. As everybody who's got experience of this, just can't wait to see what it feels like in a Formula 1 car at speeds. I think they all know it's going to be like a roller coaster, just properly fast, properly committed, and also massively physical. And that's one of the things that Sebastian Vettel was really excited about as well. Just experiencing what will be this insane thrill ride around this circuit in these cars, particularly in qualifying, when they're all trimmed out, low fueled, softest compound tyre, just go. Really, really excited about it as well. So good stuff from both of them. Down at McLaren, I also spoke to Daniel Ricciardo, similar, just he's full of beans, just so bouncy, and also because it's the high speed changes of direction and high speed corners. Natalie, watch out, don't get run over. He's actually feeling pretty good because their car should suit the nature of the circuit. Yeah,
and the other thing that I want to mention with Daniel is in the FIA press conference, he was saying that the brake really helped him and was a contributing factor to that. We didn't really see it fully, but a turning point, should we say, at Spa, and that seems to be a circuit where he's always gone well at. So hopefully if he can build on that confidence moving forward, with a car here that, like you said, Lando was saying similar things, that the car should be quite well suited to here, and they're another team who've reacted very well to new challenges, and he spent plenty of time in the simulator back in Woking, so hopefully they'll be feeling pretty confident about their chances this weekend.
Well, let's hear from Lando and let him explain in his own words the challenges and what he's looking forward to this weekend.
No, I came here in 2017. It's one of the coolest tracks we got to drive in Formula 3, especially in qualifying when you're low fuel, new tyres. The corners are not flat, but close to the edge. The car's sliding around and everything, and I think it's probably going to be the same here in Formula 1, just even quicker. So it's going to be a cool challenge. Not easy. There's not much runoff. There's not a lot of runoff at all, and gravel and barriers are pretty close. So yeah, good challenge, not forgiving, and pretty hardcore.
Now, we've already talked a little bit about Valtteri Bottas and his future. You, though, spoke to Lewis Hamilton earlier today.
Yeah, don't get rid of about that Red Bull just behind
Okay,
you as
thank
well.
you.
Lewis was in tremendous form today. He was super zen, like really calm, really relaxed, really happy to be here. Talked very eloquently about his teammate for last year, like we've said very, very briefly with George. He looks pretty excited about this track, focusing very much on that. You know, no real chatter about Max and Red Bull and what's going on there. He's very much fully focused on what's going on. I'm impressed, really.
He did turn up in orange, though, didn't he?
With green shoes.
Is that to try and ingratiate himself to the Dutch fans, or maybe to try and wind them up a bit?
I'm sure it's neither, Will. Sure it's neither. What I've always been impressed with Lewis...
Come on, he chooses his outfits very carefully every day. He chose that orange for a reason.
I've always just been impressed with Lewis that he doesn't ever feel the need to do any of that stuff. He can just do his talking on the track because he's so confident in his ability.
He was talking, though, wasn't he, about the fact he knows he's going to get booed this weekend. He kind of accepts that he might not be taken into the hearts of a grandstand full of people who are ostensibly all here to support Max Verstappen.
Well, at Silverstone, Lewis had all of the support. Here, you'd expect that Max will have all of the support. And, you know, I hope we don't get booing, and I hope that the Max fans just show their support for him in a fun, boisterous, joyous way rather than looking at any of the negatives.
Obviously, that's what we hope. Max has obviously said he doesn't want that. It won't fill him with any happiness to see the fans doing that. And I think a bit of a sort of a message to them to tone it down. It's the sort of the fanaticism of sport, isn't it, really? But Checo, you spoke with Checo?
Yeah, I think he really is quite anxious, shall we say, to put Spa behind him and that tricky weekend. And the team obviously did a mega job to get the car ready, but he couldn't really make up for that error that lost him ultimately some points in the end,
totally.
didn't it, as well? But, you know, many drivers down there are very excited by the challenge of this circuit, the walls, the gravel traps. You know, it's a true driver's challenge. And I think he's pretty excited to just get out there, frankly.
Let's finish off then by hearing from Max Verstappen, a first ever. Well, he's half Belgian, half Dutch, so he's had sort of home races at Spa before, but proper as a Dutch driver, home Grand Prix for him. How much is he looking forward to racing on this incredible circuit at Zandvoort?
I'm looking forward to it. It's of course a great track, and it will be crazy to see the amount of fans next to the track. I think also the grandstands are really close to the track, so that for sure also for them will be very nice, to see the cars so close. Hopefully it just will be a positive weekend.
There's already so much attention on you just when you're out there on the track walk. Marshals are super excited to meet you. What do you make of all of that support, and how do you think that's going to affect your rivals?
I mean, the last bit of that question, I don't think it should affect you. Those things shouldn't, we are professional enough to just focus on the job, what we have to do on the track, and that's also how I approach this weekend. It's great to see the fans, but at the end of the day, I need to be quick on the tarmac, and that's the most important.
So when you've done laps on the simulator, how do you think your car's going to suit around here?
I haven't, so.
Okay, so is it just the demo laps that you've done here in Formula 1 machinery that?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a question mark, but I think we have enough time to work on the car. I think the weather is going to be quite consistent as well, so that helps.
So that's about it from here at Zandvoort. We just got to get predictions, Lawrence.
I am going to predict a Daniel Ricciardo podium.
Okay.
I'm going to predict Max Verstappen victory.
It's not a bold prediction, though, is it?
And the Lewis Hamilton second. No, that's what I'm going to go. Max, Lewis, Daniel Ricciardo.
Okay.
What are you going to go?
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's going to be Silverstone and they're going to come to blows again.
Interesting. So you're going pretty bold with your prediction then.
It's so, it's so difficult. A track that we don't know, that they don't know. It could be anyone's weekend, really. Let's go for a McLaren doing well. Let's go for a Lando win. I said at the start of the season that McLaren would win a race at some point in the year. Max and Lewis have a bit of contact. Max fights his way through to P2 though with a damaged car. Lewis trudging home through the sand.
Wow.
Flip reverse on Silverstone. And everyone eating waffles at the end. Street waffles for free, freshly made in the paddock. I'm literally honestly mate, I'm going to put on so much weight this weekend.
That's like the 10th one you've had today.
9th. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Appreciate you watching as always. Be sure to follow everything over the weekend from here at Zandvoort, but from him and me and from all of us here on the weekend warm-up. That is your lot. I'm getting into this.
Oh, that was very good.
Delicious.
Oh.